Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you are watching this. Welcome back to the Since I Was Young podcast. Happy Heart and Soul Day. And what a day it is for the mighty Hearts. Obviously, we're going to talk about that in our news segment with Alan. But yes, it is a brilliant day, a massive day for the Football Club of Heart of Midlothian, where the rights of the club are going to go across and change hands into the fans, which has been said over and over in my head and probably yours as well, Alan, but I'm going to just say it one more time, which makes us the biggest fan-owned club in the UK, which in itself is just massive to say. So absolutely brilliant times ahead. But yes, as I just said there, welcome back to Since I Was Young podcast. Your hosts are myself, Ewan, and Alan. Alan, how are you doing, sir? How was your beautiful romantic weekend away? Was it good?
Yeah, it was, mate. It was. Yeah, thanks for that. I was away for the weekend in North Berwick with the other half. Did a few trips here and there and walks and things. She gracefully allowed me to watch the Hearts at 3:00 on Saturday, so that's how I know she's a keeper for sure. But yeah, it was lovely, and the weather was fantastic as well, and obviously capped off with the fact that Hearts managed to get another win.
Absolutely shocking scenes, but yeah, you and me both. I was delightfully shocked at that result, but hey, like we said, man, I'll take it any day of the week. But yes, of course, as Alan just mentioned there, that is going to be our main topic, to look back and review the scenes that unfolded out in Canada for Hearts. Recorded back-to-back away wins again. Absolutely incredible scenes this week. But yeah, it was a 2-0 victory to Hearts over Dundee United. So we'll go into a bit of depth about that after the news segment with Alan, which is going to include, as we just mentioned there, Heart and Soul Day. We'll talk a wee bit about that and what it means for the club moving forward. Also, we're going to do a bit of a player profile on our latest addition to the squad, Taylor Moore, which he made his move up to Tynecastle just a few days ago. He was on the bench and came on for about 20 minutes at the end of the Dundee United match. So we'll talk a wee bit about him. And also we'll get into some transfer news as well to wrap that off for the end of the transfer window, which is not too far away, which is about, 3-4 days away or something like that, Alan?
Yeah.
So if we're going to bring in players, it's going to have to be fucking a lot of work put into that. But yeah, we'll talk a wee bit about that. And like we said beforehand, we'll talk a bit about the Dundee United game. But as always, guys, thank you very much for subscribing. All the views, all the likes, always appreciated. We didn't mention it last week, but we will say it. Thank you very much for our 100 mark subscriptions. Oh, we're going places, guys. We're going places. Oh, can't wait. Oh, but yeah, to kind of just put that aside, because nobody will want to see that or hear that ever again.
Move on.
To move on from that swiftly. But yeah, honestly, guys, thank you so much as well. Like, you know, we do honestly gratefully like appreciate it, because like, you know, we started this with generally not knowing what doing a podcast like sort of involved, which might not be the best way to go about it, but we've learned as we went slowly along, and like, you know, we're enjoying it, and like, you know, that's down to you guys as well for the views and the interaction on this and the socials as well. So honestly, from me and Alan, thank you so much, guys. It is really appreciate it. But on that note, if you are a fan, subscribe, like, share the fuck out of it. Honestly, it is always appreciated, guys. And if you want to catch us on the socials as well, as Alan has pointed out, it's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at SIWYpod. Also, our email is in the description and on screen as well, since I was young 1874 at gmail.com. Alternatively as well, if you want to get in contact with either myself or Alan, Alan's Twitter is in the description, as well as my YouTube channel, What Ewan's Doing. So yes, Alan, as we said at the very start of the podcast, Heart and Soul Day. It kind of put it into perspective, like again, when you sent me a link to a beautiful heart-throbbing, eye-watering video this morning of just watching Craig Gordon. Like, again, is there anything that man cannot do? Seriously, is there anything that man cannot do?
No, he's unbelievable, isn't he? He's just unbelievable. What a man! What a man!
He is. He is unbelievable. Oh, honestly. Yeah.
Should we just end it there? Should we just end it there?
Can we just do the podcast dedicated to Ed the Craig, like sort of Ed Gordon?
Yeah, I'd be game for that.
Definitely, man, definitely.
But no, it was amazing. It was amazing. It basically, I mean, I'm sure by the time this goes out, 99% of people will have seen it already. But it's basically just channeling the journey from where we started it all to today, and it just goes through all the events, and Craig Gordon narrates it in his gloriousness. And yeah, it was a fantastic piece of work that the club have obviously put together. Some cameos that were quite funny as well. Personal favourite of mine is Ian Black walking down the street with a paint can. I just thought that was brilliant.
Oh no, mate, because like we said beforehand, before we started, we had the Gordon as well. Like, you know, like, even though it's meant to be very sort of light hearted, like, you know, it spoke volumes of the fact that, like, you know, during those harsh times where, like, you know, when the players weren't actually getting their the wages, like, you know, that's what he had to do. And like, you know, he said himself, I think it was on the Ferry podcast, like, you know, to feed his family, that's what he had to do. And like, you know, that speaks like sort of the volumes, like, you know.
Oh, it does. And I mean, the players all made sacrifices during that time.
Definitely.
And the fans did as well. You know, the fans did as well. They all clubbed together and put their money in, and, you know, this is where we are. It's amazing. And there was also a message this morning that I saw from the Newcastle United fans pledge trust thing that they've got going on, basically saying that our story and our, you know, plans that we've made inspired them to, you know, to do their own thing. And obviously the Newcastle situation is Mike Ashley is just Mike Ashley's on a different planet. But it's one of those, we're currently the largest UK fan-owned club, which you said yourself. Newcastle have the capacity to do that too. You know, their fans are unbelievable. So hopefully the news of Hearts doing this, and obviously it's not been an overnight thing. It's taken years to get where we are, but hopefully this inspires other clubs to say, do you know what, maybe we could do that. Because I think fan-owned clubs, I'm not saying it's the future, you know, and I'm not saying for 1 minute that it's going to guarantee success for Hearts. Like, we don't know what's going to happen next, but what it does do is it guarantees that we're not going anywhere. No. And that's the security that you need. You know, the club will still be around for future generations to come and enjoy, and also get very annoyed while sitting in Tynecastle and watching the club. So it's just, it's like I said on a previous episode, what it does is it puts an end to that chapter and starts a new one. And that's what it's all about.
100%, mate, 100%. And like, you know, it puts the club on a different track, but a very exciting sort of track as well. So for many years to come, hopefully, like, you know, the club can grow and blossom as well, like, you know, from this, and, you know, hopefully that'll then lead to bigger and the better things. So absolutely brilliant scenes. So happy Heart and Soul Day to every Hearts fan out there. Amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, we can move on to our latest addition to the squad, to Taylor Moore. He's made a 1-year loan move from Bristol City as well. If I'm right in saying, there were a few championship clubs in for him, but he opted to come to the famous. When you sent me his interview that he done, happiest guy alive, is he? Like, the happiest man alive.
He is. But did you see the Cammy Devlin one as well? So they put a clip of Cammy Devlin in an airport.
Was that there? Oh, mate. Yeah. Like, so
he
many.
Sounds delighted.
Dude, like, so many lines would have been crossed from myself just wanting to speak in his accent. It's so contagious. It's so contagious. It's like, again, it's amazing.
But yeah, it's nice to see that players are genuinely happy and looking forward to being at Hearts. You know, Taylor Moore came in off the recommendation of Armand Nandoulé because they spent time together on loan at Blackpool. Well, Taylor Moore was on loan at Blackpool and Nandoulé was contracted to them. And I just enjoyed what he said in his interview. He said something along the lines of, if Armand tells you to do something, you just do it. And I'm like, do you know what? If a guy that's 6'5" tells me to go to the moon, I'd go to the moon. Like, I don't even care.
100%.
Yeah, but I mean, it's great. It's great. But in terms of Taylor Moore himself, it's quite an interesting background that he has. He came through the youth academy in France at Lens. I think that's how you would pronounce it. Lens. My French is non-existent.
Lens.
He came through it at a French club called Lens. That I'm going to say Lens because I think that's what it is. Then in 2016, signed for Bristol City. Went on to make 48 appearances overall up to now. He's been on loan at a few clubs in England, Bury in 2017, Cheltenham in 2018, and Southend United in 2018-19 season, and then he joined Blackpool on loan in 2020 on loan. A player who is a centre-back by trade but can also play right-back, which, you know, for me, gives us that Michael Smith cover without having to sign a permanent player, which I think is good.
Yeah.
In terms of the loan deal itself, it is, I believe, a season-long loan, but there's an option for it to be terminated in January.
Okay,
if Bristol City feel like he's, you know, doing well at Hearts, they might say, okay, you know, we'd rather have him back now. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy with that. If he's coming in to be an option at the back and a right back cover, if worst case scenario he gets recalled in January, we could go out and maybe sign a right back, you know, in January or whatever. In terms of international caps, he's been capped for the England under-17s, under-18s, under-19s, and under-20s apparently. So represented his country at every level, aside from under-21s and obviously senior team. But 2016 was his last cap, and that was for the under-20 side. So it's a player. He's 24 years of age. Seems to have kind of, similarly to sort of Benny and Ben Woodburn, the other new arrival, seems to be a player that's not really kick-started his career, but at 24, you know, that there's
he's still got time.
He's got plenty of time. And I mean, coming up to Hearts, it's a stable club, it's a physical league. You know, he could do really well, and he'll learn something up here, which is good. He's got 2 years left on his Bristol City contract, so I don't see it as a signing that we're making with a view to try and get him permanently. But yeah, it's an option. It gives us cover. I don't have a problem with loans, to be honest. I'm quite happy with them. Came on against Dundee United, as you said, and actually looked not too bad. Not too bad. So, of course, encouraging signs.
Definitely, mate. Definitely. So, with that, with the the addition of him and the Woodburn as well, it's kind of stabled my stress a teensy bit. It's not overly, but for the fact that he's if he's versatile in that sense, where he can be played at right back or the centre back, I guess that kind of kills sort of the two birds with one stone, I guess, in that sense. So it's not too bad. But on to the last subject as well, for some incoming transfers. Have you got some inside knowledge, Alan, that nobody cares about, or no?
Well, I mean, I don't have any names, but
no. Okay. Any names?
Yeah, I heard we were in for a Portuguese winger, but he's gone back to Man United apparently. So that's that's not happening. I know. But I still maintain Taylor Moore was the biggest transfer of that day, because they were both confirmed on the same day, and Taylor Moore beats Cristiano Ronaldo, surely, right?
Who?
Yeah, just some Portuguese boy that's a model apparently.
Yeah, because it's not as if I've got a player that's got the exact same name and is from the exact same country on that strip just there. I don't know. Well, no. But anyway,
you need a Josh Ginnelly shirt up there. Surely that's a winger for you.
Oh, mate, all in good time. I will sleep with that shirt and just caress it all night.
Love that man. But yeah, in terms of
sorry to say, Alan, quite frankly enough, I think this is getting to a point where this might be the best looking Hearts team in quite a while. And like, you know, they've got the different sort of like, you know, Craig like sort of Ed Gordon for me. Oh Jesus. Janelli, like, you know, like he could
Shagger.
whip you about, like, you know, from all places.
Shagger.
Right, Shagger. Was it the Boise's head looks somewhat of just like something that draws me to him. Something that you can just hold on to, like, you know what I mean?
It's the
like,
shine,
you know I mean?
Isn't it? It's the shine. It's the shine on
like,
the
you know what I mean? It would be lovely. Anyway, sorry, mate. We're moving off track. I don't know what
we're being distracted.
Anyway.
We're being distracted by Josh Ginnelly's gloriousness and Craig Gordon's wonderful hair. But yeah, in terms of transfer news, in terms of incomings, apparently Robbie wants 2 more. He's done 7 already. He wants 2 more, apparently. And I think one of them will make you quite happy. He's looking for a forward or a wing player. So potentially one that can cover both roles, which is what I said weeks ago. So I'll take some credit for that. And the other one that I think will make you quite happy, because it means that we won't perhaps see much of Cheesy anymore. Apparently he's looking for a backup goalkeeper.
Yes.
So I struggle to understand that one, to be honest.
I struggle to understand why he signed Cheesy in the fucking first place, mate.
He's probably realised that now, to be honest. He's probably thought, why did I bring him in? God, I need another one.
Have him standing at the reception door, just fucking Greek folk in. Like, I mean, done.
What, security?
He couldn't tackle any cunt, like, away with it.
Nah. But aye, so apparently there's moves ongoing with those. No names as of yet, because obviously the Joe Savage school of keeping things under wraps is still very much ongoing. But in terms of the transfer window, as you said, almost closed. I've been happy. I've been happy with the business we've done up to a point, aside from Cheesy, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I think the loans that we've got in have been solid. I think Alex Cochrane's done a good job so far when he's been used. Obviously, the standout is Benny. Everybody's raving about Benny, of course, and quite rightly
agree
so.
With that, yeah.
Cammy Devlin gets a good write-up. It'll be interesting to see what he does when he comes in. But I think overall what it does is it gives Robbie Neilson more options. He said it after the Dundee United game. He said, you know, turning to the bench and seeing Nandule, Walker, McAnuff, he had options and Ginnelly as well on the bench as well. Let's not forget that he had options that he could turn to. And I think the squad, like if you look at the last game before Dundee United, we had 6 substitutes. So he didn't even have enough players to fill the bench. Now, I just think the squad is almost there. It's almost there in terms of what he wants out of it. And it's nice to see that we do have options. Like, we'll go into it more when we talk about the Dundee United game, but Ginnelly coming off the bench, that's amazing. You know, to have a player,
impact, though. It was a massive impact.
Have a player. Oh, of course it was. To have a player like that to bring off the bench, you know, he didn't even need to. But it was one of those. It was like, do you know what? I've got Ginnelly. I'm going to throw him on for half an hour and see what he can do.
Absolutely, mate. I mean, just see from that aspect, like, you know, I mean, because I'm sure we mentioned in a few podcasts, like sort of near, I think it was the end of the championships season, like we touched on the fact that, like, you know, for the last how many years, you know, every sort of transfer, like sort of at the window, we brought in an obscene like amount of sort of players, and of course, like, you know, that was under like the old, like, you know, sort of them was it the regime in terms of like sort of recruitment and scouting, like etc. Blah blah blah. Do you think, because you said that we've now brought in what, 9 players?
7
players.
so far.
7 so far,
yeah.
And so if we do get these additional 2 players that we're trying to bring in, would you let that go in the same, because 9 with the players is still a lot in terms of like one singular like sort of the window. So in that sense, will you kind of look past that in the sense because we brought in a lot of players and almost a full squad's worth? Will you kind of look past that just because it's under this new sort of stats based sort of recruitment?
I think so. I think that the biggest thing about it, like we've brought 7 in so far, and they've all contributed something.
Apart from Cheesy.
I was just about to say aside from Cheesy, but they've all done something, and they all look reasonable. Like I said, Alex Cochrane's done well since he's been in. Benny's just stole the show from everyone.
Benny's on fire.
Unreal. But that's the thing. And it is, like Robbie Nielsen said it himself, quality over quantity is what we were looking for. And we've signed 7, but they've all added something. And even Ben Woodburn, I know he took a little knock against Dundee United, but he looked good in that game. He looked good. And it's that for me is what's the most impressive thing. Like Robbie Nielsen said it before that, we'll sign players, but they won't all be Messi. And I understand that, I appreciate that. And we said that at the time. But just to have players that look like they're actually happy to be here and they want to achieve something. They've all got a reason to be here, basically. And I think rather than just sitting in the stands earning their money, happy not playing, we've got a group of players that all want to play. And that for me is massive. And even, every transfer is a gamble. We don't know. Like Cammy Devlin comes in with a decent write-up, and so does Ben Woodburn, and Benny, he's proven what he can do on the park for Hearts already. But every player that we've brought in, there's almost been some logic to them. It's not just been like a scattergun of just get anyone, which I like.
I get you, mate.
It just seems that there's logic and there's been thought put into every transfer. And I think if we manage to get another forward, like a winger that can be a forward, even maybe another Ben Woodburn type of player, it's another option.
Yeah, for me personally, I would probably just want an out-and-out striker just to kind of at the backup, at the boys, because again, from that aspect, I think I think Ben Woodburn could probably adapt to if he had to move on to the left or the right. I could almost see him being capable of that.
Yeah.
Whereas having an out-and-out striker, Nan's there, but could you really expect him to play 90 minutes and to contribute for 90 minutes? I think it might I know that he probably won't be happy with this all round, but he's starting to make a difference in terms of when he comes on, for the last 30 minutes or something. Because when it gets to that point in time, at the opposing team, they're starting to get slowly tired, slowly exhausted, and then they see a big, massive 6'5", what was it? Striker coming on, fucking hell. But I think somebody, even with just with the same sort of stature as the boys, like you said, beforehand, maybe somebody along the lines of Connor was at the Washington, along those sort of similar lines to this sort of same sort of build. Was it has an eye for goal. And I think if we were to get somebody along those lines in, then I think overall I'll be relatively happy.
Yeah, and like I said, it's the thing for me. And just before we wrap up the news, it's every transfer has made sense to me. And even I know Cheesy's a daft one, but it's one of those. He was already at the club, he was on loan. It was already here. It's logical. Okay, it wasn't great, and obviously we'd rather go out and get a different goalkeeper, but he was already there. It was an easy deal to do, essentially. But yeah, every deal that they've done so far has made sense, and we'll just have to wait and see if Robbie gets the next couple of players in that he wants. I think Connor Smith's gone out on loan, so that's one of the young players already loaned out. We said obviously last week about Ewan Henderson potentially going out on loan as well. That discussion that we had drew some interesting conversations on social medias. Some people agreeing with me, some people agreeing with you. So
well done, lads. You know it's right.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. He might not go out on loan. It's one of those. Another one of that. Finlay Pollock back on the bench against Dundee United. Delighted to see that as well. Obviously had an injury. I think Robbie said something like he had a chipped bone in his foot or something that he's been recovering from for the last few weeks. Lovely. So that's why he's not been involved in squads, but he's not going out on loan. He'll be around the first team. So good. Even then, that's another option to have off the bench as well. So the squad is almost there. And I think that's the biggest positive for me.
Absolutely, Alan, and I do completely agree. So yeah, that kind of wraps up our news segment with Alan. So Alan, as always, thank you very much for doing the research so I don't have to. Okay, so we're going to move on to the game that was held at the weekend at Tannadice, the beautiful tangerine part of Dundee. So yeah, Hearts were away to Dundee United, which ended in a 2-0 victory to the Hearts. Starting lineup: Craig Gordon in goal. You had Smith out on the right, in addition with Halkett, Suter, and Cochrane, with Andy Halliday out on the left wing back. In the centre, you had Benny Beningame, Haring, and you had Gary Mackay-Stevens, Boyce, and a debut for Ben Woodburn. Before we get into the actual game itself, I didn't really. I mean, I thought it was good for Ben. Was it the Woodburn to start? I thought that was the right thing to actually do. Do you think he was right to drop Giannelli? Because part of me would have thought, he might have dropped the GMS for the Woodburn. I don't know. I mean, they're kind of the same player anyway. But I just I just might have thought that just to bring a bit of sort of physicality to the game, I thought he might have kept Gino in there.
Yeah, I thought the same. To be honest, I thought the same. I was quite happy with the lineup, but again, it seemed a bit defensive. But that's just because we've got more defensive-minded players than forwards at the moment. But yeah, no, I would agree with you. I was surprised that Giannelli got dropped, but they obviously had faith in his impact off the bench to make a difference. But yeah, it's one of those. If Gary Mackay-Steven had been dropped for Ben Woodburn, I probably would have expected it more than Giannelli, considering, Giannelli did in the last game, he did all right. So I was expecting him to start again. But yeah, it's like I said before, it's just having options. It's nice to have options.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I thought... had a majority. I thought was it Ed Woodburn did all right. I don't he looked hungry, he looked sort of quite fiery, as well. I thought. I didn't think that he contributed too much, but not in the sense that he wasn't personally trying to contribute. I just think for most of the first half, again, what we've said about Ed Boyce as well, in the sense that he's not been getting as much sort of service and not as many chances as well to actually get a chance at the goal. That was actually one of the notes that I wrote down. Even though we did win, I did still have some more sort of not negative, but it's been things that have been going on for a while. This constant sort of long ball, sort of the possession play, it's nice to see, in the sense that for the majority of the game that we look in sort of big control of the game. I know you said that for the first half, we kind of deserved to actually be in front. I was kind of the opposite of that, where I think because we have so much of the ball, it kind of gives you the illusion that we are in control. But from my point of view, I think it's the kind of fact that when we kind of get into the final third, we almost don't know what to do with it. And it's in the same, and it's in the same sense as well. Like, you know, the moment, because I'm pretty sure that Dundee United did this quite a lot, where anytime the ball kind of went out to the byline, the pressure straight away to try and get it back and to put pressure on Hearts. And then again, you know, I'm not saying trying to do it all the time, but like, you know, anytime we get that tiny bit of like sort of was it pressure out on the out on the wings, time to time, it would be nice to see somebody trying to beat a man and not just automatically, right, boys, back, pass it back, go on, cricket. Like, you know what I mean? It almost kind of not infuriates me. That's quite a strong word to use. I think it's just more frustrating, like, you know, at times to like not even try to put the counter, like sort of the pressure on them. Like such, you know?
I think as well, though, I think you have to remember that we were playing away from home, and Hearts' away from home record recently has been poor, right?
Granted.
And, you know, we've the 2 away games this season, we've been away to St Mirren and we've won. We've gone away at Dundee United and we've won. Now, I do know what you're saying in terms of like the passing, and I had it in my notes as well. There was still that sideways and backwards passing, but we seem to have a way of playing away from home that seems to work against teams that we should be beating. You know, St Mirren away was a tricky place to go, and we won it. And then Tannadice is not an easy place to go either. We said it last week. We thought it was going to be a draw, but we went there and we won with this plan. And it's one of those that one of the first impressions that I had of the game right from the start was the tempo that we were playing with. There was just more about us. I think we just had more of a, let's try and move it a bit quicker. Okay, the passes didn't always come off, but we kept the ball away from Dundee United, and they were getting frustrated. You know, they were like you were saying, they were putting the press on, but they were fouling us because they couldn't get the ball back because we were moving it. If the forward play and the forward movement had been slightly better, we would have probably scored a couple before halftime anyway. But we controlled the ball without really making any clear-cut chances. So from that point, I can understand where you're coming from. But I have to say, I thought in terms of performances, and this is across the 90 minutes, I'm jumping the gun a little bit.
Don't mind, you're all good.
I just felt like it was one of our most complete performances of the season, because I think we looked organised and we looked calm and we looked composed. And I really like that. And especially away from home, you know, the home team, home fans backing them, which, by the way, barely even heard the Dundee United fans. The Hearts fans, 2,200 of them, I think there was at Tannadice. Unbelievable.
Well done,
absolutely
boys.
Unbelievable. 90 minutes of solid support. But that then comes from what they're seeing on the pitch. You know, I said it before as well, and I've said it online countless times, that the fans will only get behind you if they've got something to get behind. But they could see that the players were playing a lot better. And I watched that first half, and it was one of those that I looked at it and I thought at halftime, I thought, yeah, this is deserved. We deserve to be winning this, because Dundee United offered very, very little.
Yeah, but like again, I do agree with what you're saying, in the sense that, like throughout the full 90, I do think in terms of some of the passing, we were a bit sort of read quicker in that sense. We looked comfortable in spells, but again, like what you say about, like, you know, our away, like sort of read the record for the last few years has been dreadful, like absolutely shocking. But what my point is that we go to, like, you know, like away days, and you know, we go there with like a plan as such. But to me, that's the same sort of plan as we do at home. What I would maybe like to see, and look, I'm not saying that I want to see a change in terms of how we play, because again we've mentioned this plenty of times where we where we like sort of want to see of like a beautiful free flowing like sort of football, blah 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 blah. But at the end, if it doesn't like sort of win you games, was it what's the actual point? But what the point that I'm trying to actually make is, I can almost guarantee that every team in Scotland will know how Hearts want to actually play. Maybe putting aside the Rangers and Celtic, maybe Hibs, because obviously I think, with Hearts, they're probably going to let them have most of the actual the ball. So taking them out of the equation, most teams will know how we actually play. So from time to time, I would just like to see, to turn it on its head sometimes and have a more attacking approach to the game. Because if teams are going to expect us to actually play that every single week, which for this was it the campaign, we might, but it would just be nice to have that sort of change and be just full on, because you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I do know what you mean, but I have to be honest. I thought that Robbie got it right, and I think
fucking happy clapper there and all, aren't you?
I think it was more. Didn't he call me that? I've had that enough. Honestly, I've had that enough.
I hate that term as well, mate. Don't worry.
Happy clapper. So I hate it. Honestly, it really irritates me. It's like supporting a manager makes you a happy clapper. We're joint top of the league. We're joint top of the league.
I'm only messing with you, mate. Don't worry.
No, I know, but I'm not. I don't mean that aimed at yourself. I mean that.
I'm not actually calling you that,
in
mate.
General.
Mate. I know.
I've been called enough as it is, to be honest with you, mate. I've been called enough. I've been called worse as well. But anyway.
And the most of that has came from myself, and also sorry about that, man.
Exactly. You're no worries. But no, I think that like the first half, like having watched it and then watched it back again, the Dundee United, I don't really know what their game plan was in the first half. They were starved of the ball because we kept it so well. Okay, we could have cut through them a little bit more, but they did to us what we've done at Tynecastle to teams, sit back and just defend and just defend. And that works to a certain point. But the penalty, like even before that, we had one chance before that Peter Haring, the header, John Souttar whips the ball into him. Peter Haring is pretty much on the 6-yard line.
I know.
He gets a header on it, but he puts it the wrong way.
Like, for all as much as I've gave him with the pelters, I'm gonna actually kind of cut him some slack on this one. The speed that the ball is moving, and I think it was actually Charlie Mulgrew that was actually in front of the ball when Haring caught sight of it. Now, again, because he's only got literally like a second to react to that, I can kind of understand why it's went up there. But was it? He knew himself that it was an absolute stutter, but at the same time, I can kind of understand why that's
I'm not happened. I'm not going to criticise him, because I thought he was fantastic against Dundee United. I thought he kept the ball ticking over. He did really well.
Once again, 2 weeks in a row, I think he did extremely well. Like again, there were some at the passes that didn't all sort of come up, because I like to think as Haring that when he does play, his change of sort of the passing and long sort of diagonal balls, when they do work, it's beautiful to see, because because again, I've said it all along, when he does it, he does look just so calm about it, and it's just sort of there you go, that'll do you.
He does.
Yeah, but on that front as well, Alan, again, it kind of brings back to the fact that we do need like like another striker in, like, from that aspect, because I've got these stats up here. Obviously, as we've just talked about as well, overall, we had 61%. Was it at the possession of overall? 11 shots on, overall, but only 3 were actually on target. And that was including the penalty as well, because that was technically the rebound as well. So
true.
So yeah, I still think that is something that I think it's just what I don't think it's the chances as such, because I think we do create enough chances to kind of justify the amount of goals that we're scoring. However, I think it's being more critical of the chances that we actually have, to have that scoreline a bit more sort of further away and out of sort of the reach for teams.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think you're absolutely right. I think it seems to be the way that we play, that in terms of our chances, we have to work hard to create chances to score, or it's a piece of individual brilliance that gets us a goal. But it's every chance that we seem to create is like hard work, and it's not simple. Do you know what I mean? They're not simple chances. It's not like a through ball and someone runs onto it or anything like that. It's passes, it's moving, it's trying, it's probing to get through, and then eventually we do. And even the penalty award, like, that was a similar thing. The build up to that, and the ball comes over, and Gary Mackay-Steven does brilliantly to control it, and he just sort of knocks it past the Dundee United boy.
Yeah, do you think that it was at the penalty, but I kind of think it was an accident though. I don't think I don't know his name, but the defender for Dundee United, he had no idea where he was when I mean, he's good. I mean, I hate players that look for the penalties. However, when they're on for Hearts, I don't care. Exactly. So, but Gary Mackay-Steven is, because I might be wrong. He has won us a few penalties just from last season as well. I might be wrong, but I think he's good at doing that to try and look for penalties. Because again, I did have it on my notes. I did have it under as a kind of criticism, but again, you could kind of work that into like the positive as well, where when he's under pressure and when it comes to tackles on him, he's very lightweight. He's very lightweight, and I don't see him going in for many sort of was it at the one-on-ones, no. But I guess in that same sense, like I said there, I think when it comes to those sort of chances, and if they can sort of be converted into the penalties as well, then I guess that is a good thing. But yeah. I mean, back to sort of to the game. I mean, do you think it was a penalty?
Yeah, no. I think so. I think, like you're saying about Gary Mackay-Steven, I think the thing that impresses me the most about him is his close control. His close control when he's got the ball at his feet. That's why he wins these penalties, because he's capable of keeping the ball close to him, and then when a defender comes into him, he knocks it a little bit further away from himself, and he takes the fouls. Like, it's not even just penalties. Like Robbie Nielsen said it, that Gary Mackay-Steven gets kicked all over the pitch, and he does. Yeah. But that's because the opposition's trying to get the ball off him, and he's intelligent when he has it. But yeah, it was one of those penalties that if it had been given against us, I would have been absolutely raging. 100%. But I have to say, it was a penalty.
Yeah, no, it was.
The stream that I watched was a stream of the Dundee United DU TV coverage, and their commentary were fuming.
Pish patter, mate.
They honestly were fuming at the referee. Dude. They kept saying every time the referee made a decision, it was, there's that referee DNA again. He's got that one wrong. He's this, he's that. I was like, he's doing his job, mate. I was like, it's a foul. They kept slating another one before I even speak about the penalty. Another one was John Souttar. Now, whenever John Souttar was getting fouled, they were going, he's used his professionalism, and it's like he's putting himself between the forward and the ball. That's what defenders need to do.
Absolutely, but he was kind of countering his own. Was it at point, like saying, "Oh, he's using his experience and his professionalism to get the ball," and I'm sitting there like, "Yes, that's the fucking point."
Exactly. And he kept going on about Andy Halliday as well. He kept saying about Andy Halliday was like the pantomime villain, and Halliday was loving it. Halliday was loving getting kicked because he was just kicking them back. He was just kicking them back.
Again, mate, like you know, he thrives on that, and like you just said, he loves it. But like, so going back to like, and I know that for like sort of certain streams where if it's coming from the other team, I know that they're going to sway more towards their own team, but they do not understand the word fucking neutral. Like, seriously. Like,
they wouldn't be.
They honestly don't. Like, you know, it's just fucking absolute fucking yogurts, man. Honestly, but
back to the penalty.
back to the penalty. So that's 8 goals for
7 or 8. Yeah, one of those.
I think it's 8. Because
he's cracking on. He's cracking on.
Last week he said it was 6. I said it was 7. It was actually 7. So I think you'll find it's 8.
Well, it'll be 8 then. No, he's cracking on.
I am keeping a close eye on this because you know why exactly. So,
he's cracking on. But it was one of those when the penalty was awarded. It maybe just comes from the fact of how composed Liam Boyce is in his recent penalty experience. I was 100% confident. I was like, yeah, this is going in. It's the way that he takes them. I was like, this is a goal. Like, there's not even any doubt.
Oh, mate, because like, you know, because anytime that he stepped up to the penalty spot, there's been no sort of anxiety or stress like across that. Like you said, because he's looked calm, he's looked dead composed, and I can't even mind if he's missed a penalty or not. I'm pretty sure he has during the championship season. I'm pretty sure
probably.
But like, you know, like sort
of. He missed the one against Dundee United, didn't he?
There you go.
we're giving him all this praise. We're giving him all this praise, and he missed it. But no, I mean the way that he took it, I was confident it was going in. And then the Dundee United goalkeeper Carson, it's almost the way that he saves it that makes it rebound to Boyce. Yeah, because he sort of saves it with like his chest, and it just kind of comes back out to Boyce. I think if the Dundee United goalkeeper, I don't know if he'd maybe dived a little bit later or if he'd got a hand to it, because if he gets a hand to it, he tips it around the post and it's away.
Done.
But Boyce just has that, you know, that instinct to go, right, the ball's still there, I'm putting it in. But the best thing about that penalty for me, and I could watch this on repeat and listen to this on repeat, and you know what I'm going to say.
Literally what I would say, but go on.
The Dundee United fans cheer when the penalty is saved, and then Boyce puts it in, and the 2,200 Hearts fans just erupt, and I'm just like, that 10-second cheer.
Literally, mate.
Absolute scenes.
Literally, it was essentially just like, you know, the Hearts fans. Yeah, all right, I will raise your cheer, because even though there were more home fans in, like I said, we erupted and we stunk that place out. Like in terms of noise, like it was unbelievable.
Absolutely smashed it. Yeah, the fans were unreal. But as I say, that is the one defining moment from the game for me. After that, I was just like, get it right up, you. Like that little 10-second cheer because their goalkeeper saved a penalty, followed by the realization that Boyce has already scored it. I was like, fucking have that.
The Boyce as well, like sort of, was it the Boyce as well knew it, like as well, because as soon as they scored, just like fucking calm it down.
Love that man. But then half time came. We've kind of already summed up our thoughts of the first half, but I thought, and I'll say it again, I thought we controlled it. I thought we were confident during the first half. I thought Dundee United were average, which was nice. They had a couple of chances, but Gordon was as comfortable as Gordon will be.
Again, yeah, just to point that out, again, man of the match for me. You know, again, you know, we're almost saying now that it's just a typical, like, sort of Gordon save, but some of the saves that he did, like, sort of read to pull off again, you know.
He's unreal. He's unbelievable. He's unbelievable. And I mean, then, like, going in, I mean, I don't know if you've got anything more to add on the first half.
Not particularly. Again, I mean, I think that's the only thing that we kind of sort of was it at the part ways on. I think if the score was still 0-0, not that I don't think the teams were even in that sense, but again, I just think because when we get up to the final third, like, sometimes we can kind of panic a bit and we don't know what to actually do with it. So if it was still 0-0 by the end of the first half, I wouldn't be like, we could be 2-3 like sort of goals up, because I think a lot of it would have been our sort of doing so. But like, again, like, I was not going to complain like about the fact that we scored. So yeah, no,
yeah. And I think, like, even just going into the second half, like, Dundee United knew they had to change it, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
And they grew into the game a little bit. We started kind of giving them a bit more of the ball, and they were moving it. But even then, I was still confident, and it was a very, very strange feeling. Like, it, like I said before in the Aberdeen review podcast that we did, that the Aberdeen equaliser just felt inevitable.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like Dundee United were going to score, and I don't know what that was based off of. I just thought, you know what, let them have the ball. Like, they didn't do enough to make me go, oh fuck, we're lucky, or like, it wasn't that kind of pressure. They did to us what we were kind of doing to them. They just controlled the ball a little bit and knocked it round. And it was probably for about 15, 20 minutes that they were, I would say, the team on top, but not really, if you know what I mean. They just had more of the ball.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just, I think we controlled it, and we were structured and organized, and I really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah, which kind of annoyed me from a very, very selfish aspect, because they ruined my fucking 66-1 fucking bet of a 3-3 draw. But aye, I mean, yeah, I think this the second half we were a lot more sort of. Again, I'm going to kind of counter it like a tiny bit from what you just said there, where yeah, for the start of the second half, I think they had a lot more of the ball as well, like, but I think from a reverse angle, we looked a bit more calmer, and we looked a bit more contempt as well. The first 15, I didn't feel stressed out about it. Like, in that same sense as you, I didn't, even though they had more of the ball, and I think they had, like, I mean, I'm just seeing here. So, like, for example, even though it looked like we controlled most of the actual game, like, in sort of the different ways, they had 8 shots and they had 7 shots on target. So even though they had a considerable amount more shots on target than us, like yourself, I didn't feel as if they were going to score. Like, I didn't feel as if they were a threat in that such.
Yeah.
Like, in that respect. But like I said, they had that for the first sort of 15, and then like you said at the start, was it the Woodburn, who, like we said, I think he had a decent game. Again, I think I didn't think he had the impact that he could have had. Again, it wasn't down to him. I think it was just down to when it got into the final third. Like, was it some of the chances were like a bit sort of loose, or it got sort of bid to pass back. But I think overall, I think he had a good, solid game, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you have to remember as well that he'll have barely trained with the rest of the team. So
exactly.
It'll take time for him to get used to it, and obviously get used to where Robbie wants him to play. But even, like, I know you're saying about the shots on target that Dundee United had, but a lot of them were from far out, and a lot of them were comfortable for Gordon. Now, I put something on Twitter not long after the game, because I was seeing a lot of praise for Craig Gordon, rightly so. Don't get me wrong, rightly so.
Where do you go with this, Alan?
The thing for me, this is perfectly logical. The thing for me is that I don't agree with the narrative of Craig Gordon won us that football match.
No.
I think
I wouldn't.
for me,
Go on
no,
now.
I
No,
think
go on, and then I'll
he
respond.
made some good saves. He made some good saves. Don't get me wrong. He made some good saves, but that's his job. You know, he's in goals for Hearts to save shots. He's a goalkeeper. That's what he's supposed to do. The reason we won that game is because the team overall put in the performance to win it. And even the second goal, like it came from two substitutes being involved together. You know, it's Craig Gordon will save us points this season. There's no question about that. But he wasn't the sole reason why we won that game against Dundee United, despite what the Dundee United commentators had us believe. They were, you know, they were making out like Craig Gordon was the Messiah and he was the only reason that Dundee United didn't win 6-2.
No. That is a fair assumption. Like I wouldn't go as far to say as he won us the 3 points. However, I think there were key points in the game where, you know, I think, yeah, like, you know, that is his job. But I think what kind of adds to that narrative as such is, like, you know, for so many years, we have not had a top class solid goal, like sort of red keeper in that sense. Oh. And I think that just kind of adds to the narrative of, like, you know, because we now know that we have got a genuine safe pair of sexy as fuck hands, that we don't have to worry. But I think as well, like, you know, again, just for the age that he's at, you know, and he can still pull off those sort of saves. I mean, mate, like, we'll go onto it in a wee bit, but the free kick from Charlie Mull, like sort of Mulwed the Group, I thought it was a really well taken, like sort of free kick, and you put what are their names? They were that shite that I've totally forgotten. Was it Pereira, Lamal, Doyle, Hamilton? You put them in there against that free kick. That's in. I'm like, I don't care what you say.
Yeah,
that's going in. But I think,
yeah.
Sorry to say, mate. Like, you know what I mean? But
no, you go.
I think, like, to put it lightly, I don't think Craig Gordon was the sole purpose. However, I think he had a massive part to actually play as to why we did win those sort of like sort of 3 points, even if he only had one shot against them or 10 shots against them.
Yeah.
That one shot could be what actually gives us the like, you know, all 3 points.
No, I do understand that, but it's the whole, like, don't get me wrong, I love praising Craig Gordon. I will praise him every single week of the season, if not for his glorious hair and his wonderful hands, his footballing ability. You know, he is a fantastic goalkeeper, and like you say, maybe we've just been spoiled for years of having absolute dross between the sticks, that having a competent goalkeeper that actually has hands that work makes a difference. But on the Charlie Mulgrew free kick, I'm with you. I thought it was a very, very good free kick, but I think the save almost looked better, because I don't know if you noticed it, but Gordon takes a step to the other side. I think if he doesn't take a step to the other side, he catches that free kick. Genuinely.
Oh, mate, absolutely.
He takes a step to the other side, which means he has to dive across the goal and get it, which he does, because that's just Craig Gordon.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't take that step in the opposite direction, I reckon he just takes a step across and catches it and goes, "Thanks very much." You know, it was a very good save, but he made it look better than it was, basically. But I love Craig Gordon. I'm not downplaying his role in the win, because you're absolutely right. If that goes in,
do not downplay his role, because honestly, mate, the amount of fucking criticism that would come our way through the Twitter ranks, like, seriously.
I'm not saying that. Like, I just think,
I know you're not saying that, man. Don't worry.
The whole idea of Craig Gordon, like, good goalkeepers save points for their teams. Good goalkeepers gain their teams points. Like, you look at Rangers last season, okay, they were blowing teams away, they were scoring 3, 4, 5, but they weren't conceding any. And that's because their defence was solid and Alan McGregor was solid. You know, look at Hearts in the relegation season. we were absolutely dross at the back,
Mhm.
horrendous. That's one of the reasons we got relegated, is because our defence was so bad. So goalkeepers are employed to make saves. Goalkeepers are employed to do that. And Craig Gordon just happens to do it every week.
Yeah.
And it's not because we're bad defensively, because we're actually quite solid at the back.
Much all right
So
so far.
when there are chances that Craig Gordon has to save, yes, he saves them. 9 times out of 10, he saves them. And I just think that the whole narrative of, oh, Craig Gordon's the reason that Hearts have won that game, which is, to be fair, that more came out of Dundee United rather than Hearts.
Aye.
Like, we appreciate how good Craig Gordon is. He's an unbelievable goalkeeper.
Yeah, no,
But
mate.
as I say, listening to the Dundee United commentary again,
Mm.
they honestly, I think they thought that they'd been robbed and that it should have been 6-2 to Dundee United. Honestly, and it was all Craig Gordon's fault that they didn't win the game. I was like,
It
no, the
wasn't.
reason you didn't win the game is because you've got McNulty up front, who couldn't hit a barn door, the daft Hybe,
Aye.
and they just didn't create enough. They didn't put any pressure on us at all. And the second goal comes after, as I say, after the 2 substitutions. Ginelli, he came on and he was on it. You could see it. He was on it to make an impact when he came on.
100%, mate. Because like you just said there, like, when Gino came on, again, I thought, like, he had an instant impact. I think that I do seem to see quite a lot throughout the last a few games that, like, when we bring somebody on after kind of the 60 sort of at the minute mark, we, like, of course, depending on the scoreline, we tend to revert to a different shape. Am I right in saying that we probably went to a 4-4-2? Am I right in saying that?
It was like a 4-4-1-1,
or something like that. Yeah.
Was Nanduli came on before Ginelli? Am I right?
No, he came on after because
came on after.
Yeah, because he got on for GMS, and then
right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, maybe we did go 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1 at that point. But yeah, it again, it goes back to what I said at the start. It's having options and having players to be able to bring on. And Nielsen said it after the game that the wingers that we have, he's going to use them in like a 60-30 kind of split. Like, I don't know whether I agree with that, but having a winger like Ginelli to bring off the bench with half an hour to go in any game, in any circumstance, can only be a positive thing.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, just to kind of touch on that as well, because you mentioned it there, like, he's not, like, he did mention about Gino saying, like, look, I can kind of accept the fact that right now, I don't know if he'll ever be, but he's not going to play for a full game. Sorry, scrap that. He could play for a full game, but to have the impact constantly throughout that 90 minutes, it's just not, like, was it plausible? Like, to have that energy constantly, it's like, I mean, it's quite, like, sort of but difficult. But I do agree with Robbie in the sense to have the impact that he has, whether it be, like, for the first 45 or the last 30, if it's used right, it can be like effective. And I think, I mean, well, good to touch on what he said. The Robbie Nielsen yesterday after the game. He said, to quote, "We had a lot of the possession and created a lot of chances. To get that second goal was the icing on the cake. I thought Dundee United were better in the second half, but we showed more quality." I think that's a fair assessment. I think from was it from the Robbie? I think, no.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. I think we were the more controlled team across the 90 minutes, and as we said, aside from maybe a 15-20 minute spell that Dundee United remembered how to pass a ball to each other, we were the team that were in control, and 2-0 as a scoreline didn't flatter us. I don't think. I think we deserved it. I don't think so.
No, yeah.
I think it's easy to sort of say, oh yeah, it did, because the first goal was a penalty right at the end of the first half, and the second goal was literally in injury time of the second half. But we deserved it. we deserved to win it by 2 goals, and that for me is the most encouraging thing.
Like you just said, Alan, as well, Nan came on for GMS after 65, and then the final substitution that we had was who we mentioned at the start of the show, Taylor. Oh, sorry, I just called it show. Oh, I hate that term. Earlier in the show, we mentioned So earlier, I know this absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So yeah, at the start of the episode, we had Taylor Moore to come on for Andy Halliday in the 81st. Again, I mean, I don't think it would be fair to say that he had a great game. He had a solid game because, like, you know, to do something in the space of 10, like, you know, at the minutes, like, you know, it's not really a fair like assessment. But the good thing was is that he didn't do anything wrong. So, like, you know, I'll take that like a positive sign. So, but yeah, shortly after, I'm pretty sure it was around the 84th that it was a free kick. I'm pretty sure, was it not? I think it was it was something like that, or it was
either that or a breakdown from a free kick.
Aye, like, you know. So again, Craigie boy doing what he does best. And then just towards the end of the game, like we said there, Alan, quick feet, quick pace from our man Gino, going down the right-hand side. He took himself in to the box, dragged it along the was it the penalty box, and then just strolled it back to Bagnan, and there he was, just to calmly struck it away to the back of the net. And again, I think for me personally, I think the last 30 minutes of the game, I think that kind of reflected the scoreline, and in terms of, like, you know, I think that last 30 was where I thought that we actually controlled, like you know, the full game. We were calm, was composed, like, you know, and we took the pressure from Dundee United and their sort of the control of the ball kind of as a positive thing, because they were the ones to change their game. We didn't actually have to change much, like, you know, from our side. So we kind of took that in and kind of used it to our advantage as well. But I think it was nice as well for Nan to get his first goal of the season as well, because obviously he's not had the best start since he's came into Hearts, because, like, you know, he's not been, you know, starting that regularly. But, you know, it's not his fault, but I think it's just down to the kind of player that he is. I think he's, you know, you can maybe put him in the same category as Jamie Walker, where unfortunately I think he's probably more effective when he comes off of the bench. I just don't see him as a starting sort of a striker. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, I would go along with that. I think the thing for me that I liked about it is that, you know, you said it yourself just there, that Nandule, he hasn't had a great start since he's been in to Hearts, and he's one of these players that it's almost like an Uche situation. You either love him or you think he's a dud and he's useless. I think there's no real middle ground on Nandule. I think it's one of these. I really like Nandule. I'll put it out there. I really like him as a player.
I think he's more useful than a dud. Like, I wouldn't go as far to say like that.
But I think there are fans that think this guy is not Hearts quality, and there are probably the same fans that said the same about Uche. And you look at Uche now; he's down in the Championship, banging in goals for Middlesbrough, and he's just signed for them for over £1 million. So there's obviously a player there. I'm not saying that Nandule will follow the same path, but what I am saying is that he's a different kind of striker, and he's not a starter. He's not a starter. Like, while we've got Liam Boyce and the forwards that we have, Nandule is not a starter. But what he can give you off the bench, like you're saying, he can change the system. You know, he can occupy defenders. He can let people run off him. And when he scored, I don't know, there was speculation a few weeks ago that he wasn't happy at the club and that he played in an under 21s game and stormed off at halftime because he wasn't happy, and all the speculation.
Pish, I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course it was. Of course it was. And all you have to see, like when he celebrated scoring the goal, he went up to the away end and cupped his ears. You know, he's doing that to the away fans. And I'm thinking, do you know what, Nando? Good for you.
He looks so unhappy. Oh, aye. Like, he look raging. Aye, fucking raging.
I look at it and I go, do you know what? Good for you. Like, if people are gonna make up rumors saying, oh, he stormed out of training, he's not happy, he's this, he's that. I don't want my backup striker to be happy being a backup striker.
No,
I want Nandule to be knocking on Robbie Nielsen's door, going, play me, I want to play. And I said this a few weeks ago when we were talking about this. I would rather Nandule is unhappy at not starting games, because that means when he gets the chance, he'll come on and he'll do something. And that's why I was delighted that he scored a goal.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
That's why I was delighted to see him hit the back of the net. And I thought, do you know what? That's it. And also, let's not forget as well, the new defender, Taylor Moore, saying that Nandule was a big reason why he came here. Nandule sold the club to him as soon as he heard that Hearts were interested.
What a bastard! What a bastard! How dare you? How dare you, Nand? Honestly, how dare you do something good?
Exactly. But he doesn't look happy. He doesn't look happy. No. Nandule is delighted to be at Jambo. Like, he's loving it. He wants to play more, because every professional footballer should want to be playing 90 minutes every week. Like, exactly. I'm delighted that Nandule is not a demure, happy to sit on the bench and sit in the stands and just take money. You know, Nandule is, as I say, a player that some people like, some people don't. I like him. I appreciate him. And I was delighted when the goal went in.
For all as much as Robbie has done things wrong, and I'm not, again, I'm trying to find a fine line between not criticizing him but not backing him at the same time, because, like, you know, it's still a bit like kind of not fragile, but like, you know, there's still quite a fine line. But yeah, you know, you've got to take into account where you and me thought if we take 9 points out of the first 5 games, we'd be reasonably happy. And the fact that we've taken 10 points out of 12, like, and that point was against Aberdeen, like, fair enough, like, you know, there may be a bit of controversies around the fact whether if Robbie was off for the point at the start of the game, I would say that he would probably take it, because he would see that as a good result, like, you know.
Yeah,
which is not my view of it, but, like, you know, like, it is what it is. But yeah, like, you know, the fact that we've taken 10 points out of 4 games, 2 of those have been away, hard, like, sort of at the places to go. The fact that our first game of the season was against Celtic and we took all 3 points. We've got the biggest game of the season for us so far in the space of a few weeks. If we pull that off as well, like, you've got to give them some, like, you know, the credit. And I think, like, you know, I think, like, yeah, it was of his own doing, but I think that's why it's sometimes hard to kind of compliment Robbie, in the sense that, like, you know, it's going to take a lot of games and a lot of impact for people to kind of, like, you know, if for say the 1 week we do get beat, it's going to be hard not to straight away, like, sort of criticize him. Whereas the fact, I think it's going to be a lot of slow steps into terms of after each win, it'll slowly build up that sort of trust again. Yeah. Because, like you said yourself, anything tiny that goes wrong, it's automatically straight to, like, you know, was it the Robbie out, which at this moment in time, since the start of the season, you know, I think he's done all right, and yeah, he's still got a lot to do to fully win the fans back. But, like, you know, I think if he goes the way that he's going, yeah, there's still some changes I would like to see, but I think overall it's been mainly positive.
Yeah, definitely. I think what you're saying about fans criticising and all that, I think, we as football fans are incredibly fickle, like of any football club.
Especially Hearts, not but like what I mean, especially Hearts
Yeah,
fans. I'm
and I think it's understandable because you want the best out of your club. You want to see your club winning, and to go back in time to the Brora Rangers result, that wasn't acceptable. But that's in the past. For me, I'm like, okay, I wasn't happy at the time. Did I want Robbie out at that point? No. I wanted to see us bounce back and I wanted to see us win some games. We didn't win straight away, but we got back on the horse eventually and we started winning games again. The Brora result was a freak result, and I think fans that still hold that as a reason why Robbie should be sacked now, I'm like, just move on from that. Look, we're top of the league, like you said, well, joint top of the league, behind the small team in Edinburgh, because they've scored one more goal than us, I think it is, or maybe conceded one less. I can't remember, but
I think it's 2 goals anyway. But
it's the thing is, like you said, we're top of the table, undefeated, and the games that we've played, we did it in our season preview. The first 5 games are very difficult games for Hearts. Home against Celtic, first game of the season. On paper, a tough game, regardless of it being Postecoglou's first game, whatever. It's still Celtic. We turned up, put in a performance, and deserved to win that game, and we won it.
Yeah.
Then, you've got the St Mirren game, tough place to go. We win there. Aberdeen, a point, disappointed, but in the context of our home fixtures, if you'd said to me, Celtic at home and Aberdeen at home, you're going to get 4 points out of those 2 games, I would have said, thanks very much, I'll take that. Even though it was Celtic on the opening day, if I had been offered a point before that game, I might well have taken it. The way the game played out, we deserved to win it. But 4 points out of those 2 games is good, especially if you then couple it with 2 away wins in places that are difficult to go. Dundee United beat Rangers at Tannadice. So,
true.
It shows you that there's definitely signs of progress. And I think as quick as we are to criticise Robbie when he gets something wrong, we have to praise him when things are going well. Yeah. And right now, some fans might not like the way we're playing. And they might not like the fact that we drop deep and we sit defensive, etc., etc. I don't like it. But if it gets us points and we win games, I'll forgive it. And I really like Robbie Neilson, being a Hearts man, played for the club, all of that. It's nice to see things going in a positive direction. Mm-hmm. The Hibs game is massive. Yeah. It's massive. And if we win that, you're looking at it going, well, we'll be top of the league. We'll be clear at the top of the league if we win that. So, it's massive. But we won't go too much into the Hibs game today.
Absolutely, yeah, because what we were about to say, because we didn't mention it at the start of the podcast. Usually when we do a review of a game, we would usually do the preview of next week's the fixture, but of course it is the international break next week. So we're going to dedicate a full episode of the podcast towards the preview of the first Edinburgh derby of the season, and we have got something in the works as well. All that we'll say is that you will know them, but they're absolutely top lads as well. So if we can get that started for next week, we'll have something special to bring you for our 20th episode, Alan. 20th episode next week. Unbelievable scenes. Unbelievable.
Mad, isn't it?
Heart and soul day. No. Put that to the side for next week. You know what I mean?
Since I was young, day, mate. Since I was young, day.
Love it, mate. Love it. But yeah, unless there's anything to add to the game from yourself, Alan.
No, not really. Not really. I think we've covered it all.
Fantastic, mate. Because there is only so much you can talk about that Tannadice test pool, and that is Dundee and all. So yeah, God, that noise. So it's horrifying, like especially through the effort, like it just goes round your back. I don't like it. So what we would because I'm just trying to think from the actual game. I don't think there's really anything to kind of go through much else throughout the Dundee United game, but I think if you agree, Alan, we would like to hear from all you guys, whether or not you would agree it is an out-and-out striker you think we'll need to bring in throughout the last few days of the transfer window, or if there's somewhere in particular you would like to see us improve in the squad depth as such. Please don't say another central defensive midfielder, because we've got fucking plenty of those. But yeah, we would love to hear your thoughts on those. So if you'd like to contribute and to say who you would like to see in any sort of role, any sort of position, or any face in particular, please get in contact. And I'm sure Alan, the trusty fellow that runs our social media, will put that up in due course. So you'll see that very soon. But yeah, like we said, we will do a preview all dedicated to the Edinburgh Derby for next week, and like we said beforehand, we'll hope to have that very special episode, and it'll be good fun. It'll be good fun. But yes, I think that kind of wraps everything up for the weekend's events, with Hearts' victory against Dundee United. So as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. This has been the Since I Was Young podcast, all things Heart of Midlothian news, chats and debates. Again, if you like what you see, if you like what you hear, please think about subscribing, smash that like button, and share the love of the Since I Was Young podcast. And if you want to get in touch with us or just check out our socials in general, you can, all at the link SIWY pod, all at Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. And also, if you want to get in contact with us through our email, it is sinceIwasyoung1874@gmail.com. And alternatively as well, if you want to get in contact with both either myself or Alan, you can. Alan's Twitter is in the description, and my YouTube channel, What Ewan's Doing, is also in the description for all the links there. So Alan, as always, sir, thank you very much for joining me on this beautiful Monday morning, mate.
Absolutely, sir. Same to you. As I say, always nice to sit and discuss yet another Hearts victory. Could get used to this.
Let's not speak too soon, mate, because at some point it'll turn on its head. That like first league defeat is gonna hit hard. Like it's gonna hit hard.
We're stopping after that. We're not doing any more after that.
No, cancelled. Goodbye. But yes, on that note, once again, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. All take care now. Bye for now.